Literally nothing could go wrong. You're probably wondering how I got here, so cute and blissfully unaware of all of the challenges I was about to face. You thought the cute part though, right? Similar to my stomach after drinking a glass of milk, I was woefully unprepared. It's literally lovely and it's...
What the?
Howdy hey, I'm Hipyo, and let me take you back, as this story starts with a challenge. Wooting. Betty!
What?
I have a challenge for you.
Okay. Tell me.
So, you know we've both tried the Wooting keyboard, right?
Yeah, the ultra awesome gaming keyboard.
Yeah, well, awesome might be a bit of a stretch there, because there's one thing we haven't done, and that's modding it.
We haven't.
And I bet you, just like me, have gotten over hundreds of comments asking you to mod it. So, I'm challenging you to mod the Wooting keyboard and make it 100 times better than the original.
I bet I can do you one better. I challenge you to upgrade the Wooting keyboard to make it 1,000 times better. You think you can do that?
It's gonna be 1,000,000 times better. I'm gonna build the thockiest keyboard, the clackiest keyboard, the fastest keyboard, and it's gonna be the Wooting.
Well, you seem awfully confident over there.
Literally nothing could go wrong. Let's set some ground rules. You can do whatever you want to make the Wooting as good as possible.
To determine the winner, it'll be judged by sound and looks.
The loser has to make a short filling a keyboard with Play-Doh. We're starting the challenge in 3, 2, 1, Wooting!
Go!
It's Wooting time! Wooting time! Meowdy hey, Nola Tech here. Hipyo has gone insane, and the only way we can save him is by hitting the subscribe button. So please hit it, please. Wooting. Before we get to the chaotic part of the story, let's talk about the Wooting itself. It's been called one of the best gaming keyboards by basically everyone and me. Now, it has a lot of cool features that you can check out in my full video I did on it, but we're here to upgrade it. We're not here to look at cool features like a boring review. However, in that video, I couldn't help but notice one problem. Well, actually, quite a few problems, but we'll go over that soon. The sound. Now, I'm Hipyo. I upgrade keyboards. This is gonna be literally no big deal for me. It has a plastic case, so we're gonna need to swap that out, maybe swap the keycaps as those are probably not helping, and definitely lubing the switches so they don't chatter is gonna be in the cards today. But all of that sounds really easy, right? Like, there's no challenge to just swapping a couple parts out. Well, that is until we try and take control of the challenge. I really tried to make that work. I just wanted to show you this clip again of me doing a fashion show. I just thought it was really funny. So there you go. Enjoy the clip. Please say nice butt, Hipyo. Very good butt. So how am I going to do all of that in literally just a week and also beat Betty from Switch and Click? Well, stick around and you might find out. You're also going to witness some suffering. Now, the first and possibly biggest challenge we're going to tackle is replacing the Wooting's plastic case. I could be boring and just go with the standard metal case swap that people do, but I want to be unique and do something really special that I think is going to sound really, really good. Now, I have a woodworker friend that's helped me in the past to make really cool custom wooden cases. His name is Barrett Creative, and you can check him out down below. Now, there's just one problem. I forgot to actually ask Toby to make the case, and the video is due in a week.
Hello?
Toby, I really need your help.
What do you need? It's like 6 in the morning.
Time is of the essence.
What are you calling me for?
You make wooden keyboards, right?
Yeah. You want a wooden Wooting?
I want the Wooting. So, how long do you think that'll take?
Well, like typical production times and prototyping, and I'm thinking maybe like a month and a half or so.
All right, so I need it in 4 days.
What?
All right, bye, Toby. Love you.
What?
So let's leave Toby off to make the wooden case, and we'll check back with him soon. But until then, let's start to get the other parts done, because as I said before, time is of the essence. Now, something that's very special about the Wooting keyboard is that it uses these Hall effect switches. This is a double-edged sword. These switches are very, very responsive and good for gaming. However, they absolutely suck for sound, and honestly, the feel is not that great either. This leaves us with literally no choice other than to mod these switches, which in normal builds, I would just swap them out. Fine, Nola. Fine. I'll upgrade the Wooting. Fine. No problem. Now, I'll briefly go through how to lube these switches. You need a brush, a standard switch opener, some lube on a lube palette. Don't make yours as gross as mine. And I'll have every product that I use linked down in the description below. The first step to lubing these switches, just like therapy, is opening them up. The second step to lubing these switches, never mind. Is you need to get a little bit of lube on your brush. I use Krytox 205G0, which is my favorite standard lube, and I just do a light layer on each internal slider, then I get a little bit more, and do a light layer on each side of the stem. Now for these switches, you can kind of just go crazy with the lube as there's no contact that you can mess up or anything like that, but make sure you get a lot of lube on the spring, as this is the worst part of these whole switches. Now you just need to repeat this 59 more times. Good luck. So let me just grab my keyboard so I can do that, and somebody already took apart my whole keyboard. Who did this? This is a travesty. Was this Betty from Switch and Click? Did Betty break into my house and disassemble my keyboard? Did she put like some weird thing in here? Okay, we're gonna have to take control of this situation. I swear I'll stop making that joke. So even after lubing, I would say these switches are still pretty bad, but we'll touch back on that soon. The next thing we're gonna have to do is disassemble the whole entire case, that way we can inspect the damages. Now, the Wooting is $175 and comes with a plastic case, which is a little bit cringe, not gonna lie. Plastic for 175 bucks? This means that we're gonna need to do everything in our arsenal to make it a little bit better. And by that, I mean we're gonna completely remove the case. Also, we'll get to the keycaps later in the video, but later we'll figure out that removing this case might not actually have been the best idea. It's literally lovely, and it's...
What the?
And this is where more problems start to form. Now, because the Wooting is a standard 60% layout, some people might swap it to like a DZ 60 or a Freebird 60 or some other premium metal case, and I have a strong feeling that's what Betty from Switch and Click is gonna do. But I don't like to fit in with the in crowd. I like to be unique and special and make my life harder for myself. You making my heart go. Also, do you see this steel plate that the board is attached to? I really should have thought ahead and got a replacement for it. But let's check in on our friend Toby. Now, good old Toby in his wood shop is hard at work. He's machining and cutting and working unhealthy work hours because I gave him literally no notice to do this. Just normal woodworker stuff. Now, he hand makes all of his wooden cases. Well, I guess hand plus power tools. I don't really know where the line is drawn there. And surprisingly enough, within 2 days, there was a package at my door. Now, I am really hoping whatever is inside this package will help me defeat Betty, because I feel like at this point, she's probably doing something insane.
One singular screw. Oh, the humanity.
To my surprise, being overnight shipped from California to Washington, this thing actually arrived in one piece. Now, this was Toby's first draft of this thing, and it turned out absolutely incredible. Now, he's made me a white oak keyboard in the past, so I said, please, Toby, white oak, please. And he had to go find some more of it. But he managed to find a two-tone cut that had these zebra stripes in it, and it just absolutely blew me away with how pretty this thing is. Now, one thing that we need to talk about is the Wooting strap that he included. This is actually a separate cut of wood that's glued in, but it does let you see the contrast between the two tones of the white oak, which is just stunning. And, I mean, the acoustics of this thing seem like they're going to be incredible, right? Like, I'm very, very eager for how this is going to sound. There's going to be no issues with it whatsoever. Well, okay. Also, behind me while I was working, there was a gremlin also at work. Caught red-handed. My cat Nola decided that she really wanted to help clean up, so she went to work. Now, even though I was on a time crunch, I had to give her some scratches. Everyone please go comment, good job Nola on helping Hipyo clean up. Anyways, now that we actually have the case in our hands, it was time to prep the rest of the board. Putting in the switches is incredibly easy. Incredibly easy. So easy. No issues happening here. Okay, I had the housings not fully closed from when I was lubing them, so make sure you do that. Now, with the switches back in, I'm sure that I'm gonna have no issues and no need to remove these or alter this at any point in the future. So it was time to go blissfully unaware to the keycap portion of this video. Now, Originally, I wanted to make this board more of a budget-oriented board, before I decided to get the wooden case. So I went with these incredibly budget milk and honey keycaps that clock in at around 25 bucks, and I'll have them linked down below. If you can get over the color scheme and the profile, these keycaps are actually pretty stellar. I really enjoy them. I swapped out the original ones as shine-through plastic just tends to sound not very good on a keyboard, so dye-sub plastic it is. Now at this point, I was just throwing literally my whole kitchen sink at this board as I really wanted to make it sound as good as possible. I'm pulling out the tape mod, baby. Now, I wanted to try something like the plastic wrap mod or something that was going to put a bunch of stuff on the PCB, but I really didn't feel like experimenting with whether or not that was going to mess up the actual electrocapacitive force of this board. So, tape it is. Now, you've also seen the squishy rubber band, and I'll talk about that more later, but let me just do a quick test fit to see how this board sounds. Okay. It sounds a bit hollow, so we're gonna fix that a little bit. Like, I need this thing sounding as good as humanly possible. So I'm gonna trace the PCB and cut out some kill mat. Now, you're probably wondering what kill mat is, or if you're an avid viewer of this channel, you're probably like, Hipyo, please, no more kill mat, Hipyo. No more kill mat, please. It's one of the easiest ways to dampen a case of sound, and I've got a whole video on this mod linked in the top right. Now you're probably wondering, Hipyo, you just had the keyboard fully built. Why is everything strewn about? What is going on here, Hipyo? Why are all the keycaps off of your keyboard? Have you gone insane again? Yes. It was at this point in the video that I had a bit of a mental crisis because the board still did not sound good. So I took off all the keycaps and I got out my super lube tube. These switches are just way too chattery, so I basically took my super lube and squirted a healthy amount into each switch. This is basically double lubing every switch, which normally I would not recommend whatsoever, but at this point, I was incredibly desperate to make this board sound better. Like, I told Betty I was gonna make it sound 1,000 times better, and listen to this. That's terrible. I also tried to pull out all the stops by shooting Permatex dielectric grease into these stabilizers to make them less rattly and a little bit more dampened, because they're just loud and rattly and disappointing, just like me to my parents. And then it was time for another test fit. It was at this point I realized that I bought the wrong sized gasket, so the board doesn't fit properly. And also, it still didn't sound good, so I was frantically trying to find more fixes for it. However, at this point, I had just kind of come to peace with the fact that the board was as good as it was gonna get. I discovered the core factor that was making this board sound bad to me was the stainless steel plate. Something that I could only replace with an extra 3 to 5 days of time for something to ship in time. Now, I'll follow up on this in a future video, but at this point, I had to accept my fate. But there was one thing missing to make this board actually feel like a Wooting. Of course, the strap. Now, overall, I think that this board looks absolutely incredible, so I am not worried at all that I'm gonna take the looks category. However, as I've brought up a couple times throughout this video, I am now dangerously worried about the sound. We'll get to the results, but here's a before and after. Now you're probably thinking, Hipyo, you did such a good job, it sounds better than the original. Which, that's true, but it doesn't sound 1,000 times better. I really thought that I could make this sound like a really premium custom keyboard, and in the end it's better. I made it better, I improved it, it's better now. But it's not better enough. And I couldn't help but think that I could do more in the future to make this better. But in this case, all we needed to do was make it slightly more improved than Betty's. I didn't want to say better again. So after frantically finishing everything that I put together, it was time to meet with Betty to go over the results. Wooting. Well. So, Betty, how was the challenge?
Now, I expected a lot to happen, but even crazier things did.
Let's do the grand reveal. In 3, 2, 1.
1.
We both went yellow.
Yeah, we did.
Mine looks really good. I mean, check this out. It's literally lovely, and it's...
What the heck just happened? Yours just fell. That doesn't happen
no,
to
it
me.
didn't.
Look at this.
Good, right? 1,000 times better, right? Right?
Do that space bar again.
Right?
I don't know about that.
It's 1,000 times
I don't know if it's
better,
exactly
right?
1,000 times better.
Tell me it's better.
It's. I don't know if I can.
It's good. Betty, I failed.
What do you mean? It's good. It looks good. It sounds good.
You don't have to stretch it. I know it looks fantastic. It's absolutely beautiful. But unlike me, sometimes the looks are better than the sound. As you know, we set the stakes earlier in the competition that the best looks and the best sound would be voted on. Now, obviously, I thought I was gonna win both. But now, after the whole entire build process, I'm genuinely worried.
You should be. I am more confident than ever.
What? Earlier today, we put up a poll that you, our viewers, voted on. So let's check on the results now.
And it looks like with 688 votes, keyboard number 2 wins by 83%, which is a Hipyo keyboard. Congratulations. Okay, what about the sound? What about the sound?
Okay, well, for the sound, it was a bit of a closer race. The winner in the sound competition, if you want to see what Betty's keyboard sounds like, then make sure you go check out her channel at Switch and Click by clicking right here. And subscribe to her channel. With 60% of the votes was your keyboard.
Yeah. I knew it. We did it. So it's 50-50. It's tied.
We're at an impasse.
We are. Which means I again will challenge you to another keyboard challenge sometime in the future so that we can determine who actually wins. Who really is the best keyboard modder between the two of us?
I'll be back. And I'll be budget.